Are you worried about your kid's future? You should be. I'm Charles Blaine with Texas Tomorrow. This is a show where we're going to talk about the issues and the people that are pushing the policies that concern your family, your home, and your kids.
My name is Charles Blaine, host of Texas Tomorrow. This week, we're going to talk about the ways in which city charters allow citizens to have a direct impact in what's happening at their city hall. So you might have heard that Dallas Mayor Eric Johnson is facing a recall effort from a citizen in his city. This citizen is really only doing this because the mayor switched his party affiliation from Democratic to Republican. But ultimately, a city charter that allows for a recall effort doesn't prescribe why it must be done. It allows some ambiguity there and for citizens to take the initiative for whatever reason they deem appropriate. So ultimately, what a city charter is, it's a governing document of a city. It prescribes financial policies for the city. It discusses how city council should operate, how the elections should operate, and everything in between. And it also lays out ways that citizens can have a direct impact in their local government. And so we mentioned the recall effort petition, which is just one way. Another way is through citizen-led charter amendment petitions. While it sounds like a mouthful, simply put, it's a way that citizens can place an item on the ballot and have the public vote it up or down. So all citizens have to do is gather signatures, get them certified by their city secretary, and then ultimately it goes on the ballot. Now that sounds easy, but a lot of cities put a lot of hurdles in how that can happen. So 3 years ago in the city of Houston, we filed a citizen-led charter amendment petition that would allow 3 city council members to place items on the city's weekly agenda. Why this is important is because in the city of Houston, only the mayor was able to place things on the weekly agenda. This meant that if you had an issue in your neighborhood, you had to get the attention of the mayor rather than your local city council member to get it on the agenda. And that's a big hurdle to overcome. And so we decided that this needed to change. It'd been in place for too long. And so we gathered these signatures. We got this item on the ballot we got this item approved 3 years ago, but the mayor, with all of the power, delayed it for 3 years. But ultimately, when citizens got to vote on it this past November, they overwhelmingly supported it. And now in our city, 3 city council members can place items on the weekly agenda. Similarly, years ago, before the state passed property tax caps for local government, the citizens of Houston got together to do a citizen-led charter petition to cap the rate at which local government in the city can increase property taxes each year. Another area they did this was with banning red light cameras. So it's been used not just in Houston, but in cities across the state. And citizens are taking full advantage of this opportunity because it provides a pathway for them to push back or to implement things that they believe in. Now, the third way that citizens can have a direct impact is through repealing of ordinances. So if a city passes an ordinance that you disagree with, or your neighbors disagree with, you can collect signatures to have that ordinance repealed or placed on the ballot for the voters to either reconfirm or repeal. And so this is one way in which that you can have a direct impact in what is coming before council members in terms of what they're passing on their desks and ordinances, policies, procedures that are coming into place. Now, this is one of the lesser known ways. People don't take advantage of it as much as they do as the recall efforts and the charter amendment petitions, but it is a pathway prescribed in city charters that allow you to do it. And the reason all these things are important is because people need to understand that whether or not you like direct democracy, which is citizens having a direct impact, or you think that citizens should be going through their elected representatives, these ways are there and they exist in the city charter. And if you don't know them and take advantage of them, someone else will. And the likelihood that that someone else doesn't agree with you or doesn't share your values is pretty high. And so you should be aware of what these opportunities are and what the tools are that allow you to have a direct impact, because no one is going to speak for you as well as you speak for yourself. And no one is going to represent your neighborhood and your community the way that the community members and neighborhood individuals in that area are going to do. And so you really need to know what policies and which procedures and areas in which the city charter apply to you and what you can take advantage of to shape your local government in a way that you see fit. Because too often we go to our elected officials and demand policy reforms or changes, and either they fall on deaf ears or it takes too long. We know that local government doesn't like change, and they certainly don't move at lightning speed. And so this is an opportunity for us to start pushing things in a way that we see fit. Now, people aren't going to like this all the time. Elected officials will push back on it. Like I mentioned before, the mayor delayed our charter amendment petition in the city of Houston by 3 years, but we ultimately won. And sometimes it takes a long time, but you will win out in the end. And again, whether or not you agree or disagree with what comes before the voters, or whether or not you agree or disagree with this being a way to have your voice heard, it exists, and we all need to be aware of it. We all need to know how to use it, and we all need to take initiative and have our voices heard in our local government, because again, if we don't, somebody else will. So I hope you'll take the time to look at your city charter, see what it prescribes. Maybe you don't want to lead a charter amendment petition, but you can certainly find out which ones are going on in your city. There's always a ton of them happening. And then maybe you just sign it, or maybe you start advocating for it, because there are ways to change local government outside of election season, and this is one of those ways. And so I hope you'll take initiative and learn a little bit more about the ways that you can have a direct impact in your city.
Thank you for listening to Texas Tomorrow. Texas Tomorrow is a production of Texas Scorecard. You can go to texasscorecard.com to get more news and journalism pertaining to all things Texas.